show. And, there's a lot of good beat reporters and writers in Chicago. It's a major media market, but when it comes to the Chicago Bears, and I tell you, nobody has more sources and is locked on Chicago than our next guest, making his All Access football debut, by the way. We're so happy to have him. He is Ben Devine. You can follow him at Chicago_NFL. Ben, good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Morning. How we doing, Rick?
We're doing good, man. I love getting the inside scoop from guys who know a lot of stuff, because you are certainly tapped in. I don't know, you beat the beat writers to all the major punchlines. So if you're listening at home, you're just being introduced to Ben for the first time, go give him a follow. And we're going to get right into it, Ben, because Chicago, they've been a big storyline here in the start of the NFL season. A lot of excitement with Ben Johnson coming in. We saw the interview didn't exactly go as he had planned, and I don't fault him for that entirely. And I saw you put out a tweet there. It's really an unprofessional reporter that the NFL likes to employ there on the sidelines. And you can touch base on that if you want, but give us a general feel overview of what it's like so far with the Ben Johnson experience in Chicago.
Yeah, and he's just so intense. I think he's kind of learning into the growing into the job a little bit, because he was obviously frustrated with the first half. He's one of those guys you could tell he's just intense in everything he does. And I don't know if those halftime interviews are really set up really for any particular benefit for the game. I mean, if as fans, I don't know if that's going to be exactly too helpful. And I'm sure he could probably grow into a little bit better role there. I think he did apologize just this week for his reaction as well. But no, he's been everything I think that Chicago fans have wanted, and I think that the team needed. The team needed accountability. The team needed structure, and I think you're seeing it. He has grown into the role, not just being an offensive coordinator, but now being a head coach. And I think that there's some really good signs here, especially on the offensive end, and the work he's doing with some of the young players, Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams. That's really going to be the key heading forward. And the defense, is got some issues as well. But I think if I could give him a grade, I think I'd give him a solid B so far. His work. He's got to learn a little bit some of the game management stuff, but I think he's been excellent at end of quarters. His timeout situation that was sorely lacking under Matt Eberflus, but we've seen a big step forward, at least in the accountability and the intensity for the players. And I'll tell you, we were having this conversation a little bit just amongst a couple of the writers here. The Sunday's game against Las Vegas was a game that the Chicago Bears would have lost. I mean, last 3 years, there were so many games that the Bears should have won, but they just lost. And this was kind of the flip script. This was kind of a game they probably should have lost, but they ended up pulling out. And I think that goes to a long way toward the coaching and Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I was curious because you mentioned he's an intense guy. And from the outside looking in, sometimes it's almost like he's too rigid. Like that whole introductory press conference and the Bears facility, it felt like somewhat uncomfortable, or he was forcing himself to be somebody who he's not. Maybe that's just his personality. I'm not tapped in like you on the daily basis. But I guess the follow-up to that also is just, Caleb Williams, he challenged him early on publicly. Yeah. And I'm just curious, how are the players and specifically Caleb Williams responding to this type of coaching?
Yeah. Boy, that was the question too, I mean, that old school, really hard nose, and he's been extremely tough on the players and even the veterans. You wonder how they're going to take that, in a 2025 locker room. I think especially now, I don't know how all the veterans have liked it. I don't think behind closed doors, they're all too thrilled with how hard he pushed them. And he did. He pushed them pretty hard through training camp in the offseason. I do think, though, that the younger players it was good for. I think Caleb Williams has really taken to it. First of all, I think he's needed that. He needed more structure than he had. Last season, Caleb Williams was kind of left to freelance. I mean, I remember when they came in and they asked Caleb Williams, which foot you want to have forward, right foot or left foot. he wasn't really coached. And so Ben Johnson came in and said, no, we're switching all that. We're going to put you under center. We're going to teach you cadence, and we're going to really give you, we're going to make you drink from the fire hose, so to speak. And the playbook has not been easy. It has not been easy. Case Keenum said, this is the toughest playbook that he's ever had to learn, and he's been around quite a few locker rooms. But I feel that it's coming along pretty well, especially with what we're seeing on third downs and Caleb Williams, some of the difficult throws that he's making. We can definitely see some growth there, and I think that's because Caleb Williams is taking to some of this hard coaching, and it's a good sign.
Yeah, I think you've really seen him come into fruition the last couple of weeks, and you make a great point, because I hate to use this word, but I do feel like even at USC, Caleb Williams was kind of coddled.
Yep,
right?
He was.
Yeah. So like now he's getting real coaching. And I did worry a little bit about the the first time head coaches. They come in, they want to call the plays, they want to manage the game, they want to be the CEO. It seems a little bit overwhelming, but it sounds like Ben Johnson has it under control. And I got a fellow Rutgers backfield mate there, and Kyle Monangai, who I think is going to be eating into the carries of DeAndre Swift, right? Because the run game, I saw you tweeting it out over there on the Twitterverse at Chicago_NFL. It's been a little bit of a mixed bag in the run game.
Yeah, they've struggled, especially on their first and second down runs. Every team they're going against so far, they're getting beat by quite a bit in the running game, and that's hard to sustain. It's hard to win in the league when you're getting outrushed. I think they were outrushed Sunday, 240 to 69 or something like that, and it was not pretty. And I think they need something else in the running game, especially between the tackles. And I would fully expect for Monangai to really start eating into more of DeAndre Swift's carries coming out of the bye week. And you're seeing it league wide, really. How many rookie running backs are coming right out of the gate with 20 carries a game? Even the ones that were drafted high in such a really a very good running back class, some of them are being slowly increased in their workload and brought along pretty slowly. So, and I think that's the same with Monangai. And really, it's just a two horse back here, because I'm not seeing anything from Roschon Johnson. I don't even think he has a carry this year. So it's pretty much DeAndre Swift and the rookie. And as he picks up more of the game and obviously pass blocking situations, I think that you're going to see more and more of him as the season progresses.
Yeah, and I felt like he was a good value pick, because I think people got down on him with the poor 40-yard dash time. I think he came in at 4.62, and amazingly enough, I remember he did not run another 40 at the pro day. Like, he seemed content with that. He was like, hey, you know what? I am who I am. And, I like Monangai, though. He gets the tough between the tackles yardage that I think will just toughen up the Bears offense. All right, let's talk a little bit on defense, because Grady Jarrett's been taking a lot of criticism, and it's an early NFL 4 weeks in, but on paper, this looks like one of the worst offseason acquisitions in the entire NFL. And I know he's been banged up a little bit, but is there any light at the end of the tunnel for Grady Jarrett to turn it around here in Chicago?
Well, you hope that he wasn't just brought in as a leadership voice. They signed him for $50 million. That's a lot to pay just for leadership. But he's been banged up. But I think the worst part, the problem has been when he's been on the field, the defense has been worse. They've been gashed in the running game, and so you hope that he can get back into form here. But we're talking a guy that's north of 30. This is not prime territory for defensive tackles. And there was a reason that the Falcons, thought he was expendable. And he was an instant signing. He was cut and then signed by the Bears the same day, and so it was something that the Bears really jumped on. And I don't know if he had too many other suitors. I really don't know. They probably just threw the bag at him. And I hope that he does, come out of this bye a little bit. Maybe he's just been a little bit banged up, and he was a little in camp, but that's going to be a rough one. The Bears put some major money. I mean, they signed Dio Odengbo for some pretty big money as well. And their run game has really been porous. I mean, you saw it on Sunday. And Ashton Genty, boy, they were running over the defensive line. And if it weren't for all those interceptions by the secondary, yeah, they would have been looking at a 1-3 game here.
Yeah, Genty reverted back to the upward stance and suddenly become a gangbuster again. And we're talking to Ben Devine at Chicago_NFL. Does a great job covering the Chicago Bears. Does a great job covering the NFL draft. And we talked about Kyle Monangai, maybe an unsung hero. Any other under the radar rookies or unsung heroes on the Chicago Bears team we should be keeping an eye on?
Well, the rookies haven't really had much to contribute here, and the Bears were one of the few teams. They had 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, and a lot of those haven't really played much. Now, Colston Loveland has been injured, and I think you should expect more from Loveland when he comes back after the bye, and he should be back. And I think Luther Burden's going to take on more of a role here, and you could see it even in that. A week ago, you really saw him, come onto the scene against the Cowboys. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown, got that big, the big flea flicker pass there. But you're going to see him more involved, I believe. Something to look forward. And I keep saying it, and I said it this offseason when they drafted Luther Burden, when they drafted Colston Loveland with their top 2 picks, and I was very surprised. I was thinking offensive tackle, defensive end, running back. And I was very surprised they went with those guys. But I don't know exactly, and I've been saying it. I think the days of DJ Moore and Cole Kmet are numbered here on this team, and I don't know. I'm not looking for it to happen this midseason before the trade deadline, but I would really look for them to move off the team sometime this offseason, especially Cole Kmet. He's got an out right after this season, and those are your highest, really your highest 2 paid offensive players. And when you draft those guys that high, you're going to expect them to kind of contribute, especially there's a new coaching staff in town. This is Ben Johnson's staff. So especially the second half of the year, you do expect more from a top 10 pick in Colston Loveland and Luther Burden. So we'll see what Ben Johnson has cooked up for him.
Yeah, I was very surprised as well by the selection, and maybe not because it was a tight end, but more specifically, it was Loveland over Tyler Warren, right? I mean, that really turned my head and got my attention. And I'm not surprised to see that he's injured again because he was hurt there in his final year at Michigan. And I did give him a Heath Miller comparison coming out. So I do think he can be an effective player. But, that's the business decisions now that they're going to be forced to make because Cole Kmet can't afford both of those guys. And Moore has been an integral part of the offense, but I guess Rome Odunze, his step up in play is going to make the Bears offense have a new identity. So, before we get you out of here, oh, by the way, what was your take when they took Loveland? I had Warren higher. Did you not? Or?
Well, I went back and forth on them, but I repeatedly said that Loveland was the better fit for Ben Johnson.
Okay.
Sam Laporta comp was thrown around quite a bit. And you kind of saw that he was kind of the more move tight end than Warren was more like the Swiss Army knife that, and the Colts are using him quite effectively. I do think that the Bears would use him much more effectively. And I think they do have, the luxury the Colts don't have of having Cole Kmet, and so Colston Loveland, I think, would always have been behind the 8 ball, fantasy wise, I guess, for this season. So, but I think Ben Johnson really, really is going to put a lot onto Colston Loveland's plate. I think he's going to see some heavy targets, to be honest. Behind Rome Odunze, I would say that probably second half of the year, I would not be surprised if Colston Loveland is in the conversation for 2 or 3 for targets here.
Interesting. Great insight here with Ben Devine joining us here on the All Access Football Daily Show. Before we get you out of here, Ben, I do have to touch base on this new stadium proposal that the Bears have. And I see some fans are in an uproar because they're talking about putting a dome on the stadium. What? In Chicago? What?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the meatball Chicago fan. We're going to want Chicago Bears football in the rain, in the snow, Although I think, to be fair about it, I think that's kind of the way that the league's going to be going. I mean, you're paying. I mean, you're paying $500 for a ticket, and you're going to sit outside, December on the lakefront or
Isn't that what
something.
home field advantage is all about, though? I mean,
but it's not where the league is going, And I
Yeah.
understand that, we want that, but I think that the team is more interested also in not just football. I think that stadium is going to be a bigger draw for, Final Fours. I think that one of the reasons Chicago didn't get the Olympics, I think about 12 years ago, was they didn't have a domed stadium. And if they had one, they would have been at least a finalist, if not the finalist, for the World Olympics. And so it's more than just football. I think it's at play. Of course, the Bears want to host, maybe or Soldier Field wants to host a Super Bowl.
Sure.
But a dome's going to go a long way into making a lot more sense for Chicago being a destination, as it should be. I mean, look at all the events that are happening in Indianapolis because they have a dome. And Chicago should take a lot more of that. So it's beyond just the football. Although people are having problems, it looks a lot like Allegiant Stadium. And to be fair, I think the same architectural teams are doing the designs. So it might look a little similar. I don't know how much they've even going to reveal on that. But no, I think that's kind of where the league is going. You're competing against television. And, that's my thoughts on it anyway.
Yeah, well, a multi-venue, it seems like all the new stadiums now that are being talked about are going to include some kind of dome or retractable roof, and that's the big caveat, right? Is NFL says, hey, if you get a new stadium, you'll be in play or consideration for a Super Bowl. And in Chicago, I mean, we had one here in Jersey once upon a time in the Meadowlands, but having the dome obviously would increase their chances there. Hey, Ben, this has been great stuff. Tell the listening audience at home where to follow you, where to find your work, what you got cooking, and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, just find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, and just Chicago_NFL. And I just have just as much as I can, just getting your thoughts on the Chicago Bears primarily. But looking forward to hopefully the Cubs taking another step tonight as well. So I'm an all-access Chicago fan, but primarily a Bears fan. But appreciate you, Rick. Thank you for having me on the show, man. Anything, just give me a holler, all right?
Yeah, same here, man. And I definitely look forward to having you on again down the road. And hopefully my Yankees can pull it out too with the Cubs, the Yankees. I went to Wrigley, by the way, when the draft was in Chicago.
Yeah.
I made the journey over to Wrigley Field. What a great experience. I mean,
it's great, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Just walking around that venue is like a museum.
Yeah, it's got its own atmosphere.
And you got the pipes hanging out of the ceiling. Like, it's unbelievable. I sat right behind home plate for like $50, which is about $5,000 cheaper than a Yankee Stadium ticket over here. And it was one of the coolest one of my coolest sports experience of all time. So, hey, man, appreciate the time. And I know you're going to be all over the Chicago Bears. Of course, they got the Washington Commanders, I believe, with you coming off the bye week there. And we'll tap into you somewhere down the road. All right, my man?
All right. Hey, take care, man. Anytime. I love it.
Awesome. All right, Ben Devine. Great.